Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen, Doctor Who, Fruity Gatwa's Doctor Who, Shooty Gatwa, and Russell T Davies' Doctor Who, Disney's Doctor Who, looking like it's potentially going to be cancelled because the viewership has been terrible. Yes, on not only on the BBC, but also on Disney. So this is the goalpost that everyone kept moving. Are the ratings, they're bad, but that's because they're showing on BBC iPlayer first. When those figures come out, it'll be great. They come out. Everyone shits their pants and they go, no, it's because it's also on Disney Plus. People have just changed the way they're watching stuff. Disney Plus will have all the great figures. Disney Plus comes out. It's not even, it's literally nowhere to be seen on any ranking chart anywhere for anything Disney. Okay, where are you going to move the goalpost now? Because Deadline is reporting that, yeah, Disney might just cancel supporting this show because it's not worth it to them. Anyway, we're going to take a look at this today. Do hit subscribe, turn those bell notifications on, and we'll dive right into it. So, bit of a background. I've been reporting on this every single week for the ratings. Literally just raw data. I mean, I don't care to watch it. It's not the purpose of these videos. It was just interesting to see the ratings and the data, and then also just to say, well, take a look at what the interviews were saying in conjunction with the data, because obviously the interviews are trying to spin it one way, the data is pretty raw and it tells another story. So yeah, this is just a continuation of that basically. But let's take a look, shall we? So like I said, we have this Deadline report and it's titled Doctor Who's Regeneration, Has the Disney Gamble Paid Off? Now this isn't some right-wing media, this isn't some anti-woke grifter, this is Deadline. Okay, because I've been labelled all of these things when I've just literally reported on raw data. I've been told I'm spreading misinformation by those absolute wankers over at some Doctor Who YouTube channel. I can't even remember what they're called now. But yeah, like I've been called out quite harshly for just reporting data. So Deadline has this, and they say, those lucky enough to attend May's Disney upfronts at the North Javits Centre were treated to clips, teasers and appearances from some of the world's biggest stars. In the spotlight from Bob Iger-led Mouse House were hits from the Disney stable, including The Acolyte, Welcome to Wrexham, Abbott Elementary and a wealth of ESPN sports shows. The combined budget must have been astronomical. But almost completely absent, from the upfront festivities was Doctor Who, the iconic British sci-fi series that Disney Plus now co-produces at great expense to themselves with Disney. So following what was undoubtedly one of the biggest global TV show deals of the past decade, which is just, why did they do that? Doctor Who was handed a minor bit of real estate at the North Javits, but its lack of front and centre placement may spin a yarn about the series' position in the Disney priority log nearly 3 years on from the deal being struck. But they've got data now, they know that it's not actually popular. And this is not really a surprise, right? Like, you have a Rwandan immigrant that was handed everything for free when they came here, because that's literally what happened. Shooty Gatwa. They've, the lead actor, this is important, the fact that he's Rwandan. So he got handed everything when he came to the UK, which, that's part of our sort of social policies, I guess, social care policies. Saying about white, mediocrity and slamming people that weren't interested in watching him. Like all this kind of nonsense. And you've got to remember, the BBC, Doctor Who, it's a British staple, or at least it was. Now, no one really cares that much about it. People don't want to watch a Rwandan immigrant. They just don't, right? And yeah, some people do, admittedly. About 4 million or so overall. 3 odd, I think it was in the end. It wasn't exactly a lot. They don't want to. Like, fans of Doctor Who, it's a British sort of, it's a nation staple. It's for British people. He's not British. He's just not. And people don't want to watch it. They don't want to be lectured. They don't want to be harassed. They don't want to be called... They don't have racism thrown at them, which is what he did when he said, white mediocrity and things like this. And that was an individual that was handed his start in life because he's diverse. And that is quite literally a lot of the casting. I mean, make no mistake, he was cast as Doctor Who because he's diverse. Right? That's just a fact. And we know this because Russell T Davies has come out and said as much when he says that he wants to challenge people. He wants to tell stories about gay people and black people and diversity and all this kind of stuff, right? How can you expect that not to be rejected? The vast majority of people don't want to watch this stuff because the vast majority of people are not that sort of person. They don't relate to it. They don't care. They also don't want to be lectured to and whined about and just all this nonsense. Anyway, let's take a look and see some more stuff. So following the conclusion of the first Disney BBC Doctor Who season several weeks ago, Deadline has taken the opportunity to analyse its performance both locally and across the pond. I've done that. Its critical reception and just what the future has in store for the deal. Noises that it may not last beyond this initial 2 seasons are already reverberating around international TV circles. I said that. Everyone poo-pooed me, said I was just spreading hate and all this crap. No, I said that. And now Deadline's caught up. And one source close to the production tells us that they feel its future hangs in the balance already. No shit. Disney, the BBC, and co-producers BBC Studios and Bad Wolf all declined Deadline's interview request for this article. I wonder why. Bearing in mind, remember, the BBC refused to release Audience Appreciation Index figures. They did not want to. First time in 20 odd years, Doctor Who TV, .com, the website that released all this data, they were refused the information from the BBC. First time in 20 years, which is just absurd. I mean, that goes to show that, yeah, the Audience Appreciation Index is bad, obviously. But anyway, Doctor Who is as much a part of the British cultural furniture as cups of tea or the post office. Exactly, and that's why a Rwandan immigrant as the star, who was essentially racist in interviews, and all this LGBTQ nonsense, it was rejected. What do you expect? Like, what do you actually expect? So, making the stars of iconic doctors such as Tom Baker, William Hartnell, John Pertwee, more recently Matt Smith, it's been airing on and off for more than 60 years and was regenerated with fanfare when Doctor Who obsessive Russell T Davies took the reins in 2005. But yeah, no one cares about him. He's terrible. It's a sin. Supremo Davies was the man trusted with the showrunner duties in its latest iteration, paired with a Disney-driven budget boost that well-connected sources have estimated more than doubled the show's per episode investment to around the 10 million mark. What the fuck? That show was 10 million an episode? The last season of Game of Thrones was like 10 million an episode. What are you doing? 10 million apparently does not go far. That's also 10 million pounds. So that's $13 million an episode. What the hell? That's astronomical. And it looked like shit. So the deal valued some at around £100 million. Davies' first move, bringing his long-term collaborator Jane Tranter and her Bad Wolf production outfit on board, a won't do it without them demand that has led to an unprecedented scenario whereby BBC Studios owns the Doctor Who brand and oversees international sales, but Bad Wolf holds the production contract. BBC Studios boss Tom Fussell has previously described this deal as an excellent one, but there is no getting around the fact that eyebrows were raised when the powerful commercial arm chose to hand over the keys. If the BBC Disney deal doesn't get re-upped, Jaws could hit the floor. It will hit the floor. Davies' influence could be seen almost from the get-go, and his ambitions were lofty, with immediate talk of spin-offs and the creation of a Whoniverse. That's not happening now, is it? His choice of Doctor was sex education star Fruity Gatwa, was the first black and first openly gay actor to enter the TARDIS. Gatwa's companion, Millie Gibson, was relatively unknown, and she will be joined next season by a second female companion, Andor's Varada Sethu. At times last year, it felt as if the media was receiving almost weekly Doctor Who casting announcements, including David Tennant, Catherine Tate, who returned, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so with the dust now settling across the board, analysis of Doctor Who's ratings and critical reception paints a nuanced picture, one that is reflective of the difficulty of judging modern-day TV series performance when so many metrics are in play. Yeah, whatever. I thought it was a mixed bag, says Tony Jordan, Society co-coordinator of the 30,000-strong Doctor Who Appreciation Society, who says this feeling broadly reflects that of the mega fans he speaks with regularly. When Russell's return was announced, I thought, that's fantastic, but maybe I remembered the good stuff and chose to forget the not-so-good stuff. His track record of ending seasons with two-parters has been widely varying in success, for example. Jordan, who shares his name with a well-known UK drama producer, believes the critical verdict was somewhat guided by the worst episode by a distance, Space Babies kicking things off. It was described by The Guardian as a textbook example of mid-ranking Who installment, and The Independent as a promising idea that never entirely comes to life on screen. Also, the fact that they kept sort of teasing stuff along the way and never paid any of it off, right? Like, the end of that show, narratively speaking, was just completely ridiculous. Cool, I guess. Like, no one wants to be cock teased and then, you know, doesn't have the chance to come. It's ridiculous. So Jordan also questions the ordering of the episodes and whether the audience was given enough exposure to Gatwa on his first outing, which he suggests may have been due to the in-demand star's other filming commitments. I don't know why he's in demand. He's terrible. Anyway, so it says, elsewhere, an influx of diverse characters led the tabloid press in particular to brand the show with terms such as woke obsession and peak woke. I mean, it is. Which sources say could have had an impact on viewing, obviously, and critical response. But Quinn says Davies' brilliance lies in his ability to integrate those themes in an incidental manner. It doesn't matter if people don't want to watch that stuff. No one wants to watch gay black Doctor Who kissing another gay man. Like, no one's interested. So if people have a problem with gay people or trans people, then yes, they are not going to like the show. But in the scripts, it didn't feel like a big deal, he says. Okay, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, right, people have been bludgeoned over the head with this now for God knows how long. People are sick of it. They don't want to watch it in everything. It's in everything. So editorially, Disney may have also had a role to play here. The might of the Disney budget boost could be seen in multiple seasons, but we are also told the streamer was keen to be across plot lines from the off. A rumour has spread that a scene in which a giant snowman falls down and lands on Gatwa's doctor at the start of the Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, was demanded by Disney after filming had wrapped to add exposition for American fans only just coming to the show. Interesting, but who cares? So anyway, here it goes. So when it comes to a ratings, complex picture has developed in the UK. The first episode in May launched a disappointing 2.6 million overnight views. And it goes on to say some other stuff about the ratings. I've covered the ratings. They are awful. They are genuinely terrible. But then it says this. So armed with reams of its own internal data, the BBC has repeatedly stressed that overnights and even 7-day figures fail to paint a conclusive portrait. Doctor Who is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year. The corporation says while Space Babies at time of writing had amassed 6 million viewers, the BBC's Whoniverse iPlayer brand has been streamed in its entirety nearly 65 million times this year. Yeah, because the old stuff. The spokeswoman adds that overnights no longer provide an accurate picture of all those who watch drama in an on-demand world, and that this season of Doctor Who premiered on iPlayer nearly 24 hours before the broadcast. But we've seen those figures, they're terrible. So anyway, one industry source was not convinced and said, the ratings are a problem, they tell us. They can talk all they like about young viewers, but they're still down from the specials and down from the Jodie Whittaker series. I imagine serious conversations are happening. Disney will want to see results. That's what I said, and I got labelled all manner of hateful things under the sun. Speaking of the house mouse, ratings analyst Parrot Analytics tell us that the Doctor Who was the most in-demand UK originating show with the US audience during its early release. This doesn't, by the way, Parrot Analytics is bollocks. That's just, that actually isn't viewership, by the way, so they're talking absolute bollocks. Like, genuinely, utter nonsense. They don't analyse things properly. So, Parrot Analytics, it's like social media mentions. So it just takes into account hatred as well, which is just bizarre. Consider its marketing might and budget, a senior US rating source positions these figures as underwhelming, although they acknowledge Doctor Who has long struggled attracting mainstream audiences in the US, as okay but not stellar, was the simple verdict from a Disney insider about the internal view on its performance. Yeah, not good. Anyway, all eyes now on the upcoming season, which is in the can and due to launch next year, along with a long-rumoured set of spin-offs that comprise the new Whoniverse, including the war between the land and the sea. Fans were delighted when its spin-off was alluded to in the 73 Yards episode of the latest season, and Deadline is told that shooting will commence in September. One of our sources close to the production believes Disney will need to make a decision on its future relationship with the show soon after the war between the land and the sea wraps, and this could have a bearing on how long the in-demand Gatwa, who will lead a West End production of the importance of being earnest at the end of this year, remains Doctor. Although the next season has wrapped, this source predicts the final episode has been left open-ended, with the possibility remaining that Gatwa could regenerate into his successor if he chooses to exit. Gatwa's agents hadn't responded to Deadline for comment. That's hilarious. So sources are split on the extent to which Disney pulling out will harm the show's future. While it would no doubt be embarrassing, Doctor Who's mega budget increase is perhaps less noticeable on screen than first thought. One source says, positing that Disney tentpoles like The Mandalorian look far more expensive on screen, but another says it will be a disaster. Given that Disney has spent all of this money, the question becomes what the BBC will do if they pull out, which is very true. For Doctor Who Mags Quinn, the latest season could have done with a sprinkling more of Barbie star Gatwa, especially if he chooses to call it quits. I don't feel ready to say goodbye to this Doctor yet. I'm sure everyone else is, though. Anyway, there are naysayers, but Quinn remains hopeful that Disney will remain steadfast. I doubt it. I think it will grow. I would imagine Disney will want to remain involved. I doubt it. I really, really doubt it. It's garbage. People are talking it's garbage. The writing's on the wall. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. If you enjoy anything that I do, please do support the channel, because I do get demonetized, so it would be good if you could help out. Patreon is linked down below, and for as little as $2 a month, you can support the channel. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.